Favorite VTuber Android Arrowhead, and I'm doing a Zatsudan today. Yeah. Welcome to my head talk. Probably should have worn the suit for this, but it's a little late for that. Regardless, so for those of you who don't know what a Zatsudan is, because I had to look it up, apparently this will be just me sitting and chatting for a while. And that may sound like I should have just said, oh, chatting stream, but the fancy term is Zatsudan. Also, not to be confused with Zandatsu, which is what happens when you rip someone's spine out and use it for sustenance. Ideally as a cyborg, but perhaps not. Regardless, I'm just going to talk for a while, which is kind of what I do during all of my streams, but regardless, you are all welcome to talk with me, which would be very nice. I think, at least. I like that idea. But, you know, I think ultimately, the really hard thing when you comes down to streaming or whatever, it's hard to, like, oh, hey, Firewall, welcome to the stream. Head or no head? That is the question. That is a good question. Generally, I prefer having a head, but I realize a lot of people would rather my head not be on my body, and I do want to respect their opinions, even if I don't agree with it. Mainly because I would prefer to be alive as opposed to not. Granted, my head is detachable, but I'm pretty sure that's not what they mean. I'm doing just fine, Firewall. How are you doing? And if you're wondering how I'm responding to the questions before they show up in the chat, I can see the future. That's part of my lore now. I can calculate the future through algorithms. Because you can't spell algorithm without AI. Maybe. I'm not entirely sure. Regardless, I'm doing just fine, Firewall. How you been doing? And Friendly Lee, you're not cooking chicken today. Good to know. Good to know. Probably for the best. You'll be able to stay the entire time. Now, I have prepared topics, but I'm also prepared for all those topics to be completely worthless and for us to talk about none of them. So there's that. Regardless, man, I am excited for Final Fantasy 16. I think it's going to be a great game. Could be game of the year, as long as they keep it as good as the demo was, which I think they will. I think they will. Let them cook. You know what? That's fair. Let them cook. Time to cook, Jesse. Could you imagine Breaking Bad, and it's as serious as it is normally, but it's entirely about baking? Like, they just make cakes instead of meth, and the police are still trying to hunt them down and kill them. But it's like, Jesse, it's not about the meth, it's about the art of it. It's about making a cake that we're proud of. Or something. Oh, hey, you know, it's actually, like, real news, though. Real news. They decided to make a collection for Ace Attorney 4, 5, and 6. And what topic sent our nipples again? This time, ideally, no. But, actually, not ideally, no. I actually would enjoy topics like that. But I feel like I've already talked about the Centaur nipples thing, like, kind of a lot. A little more than most people should talk about Centaur nipples, you know? Starting to think that maybe I might just be a Centaur nipples VTuber as opposed to, you know, an Android one. I can't exclusively be about Centaur nipples. That'll be most of what I do. But regardless, let me think. So yeah, Ace Attorney 4, 5, and 6. Very excited for that. That sounds great. And that's coming like next winter. I will never run out of content. I can just keep playing Ace Attorney games. And there's the Great Ace Attorney 1 and 2, which I also have not played. And eventually they might even do the Miles Edgeworth ones and bring those west. And then I will have like a grand total of about 7 other games to play in my channel. It'll be great. Well, Firewall did bring up Centaur nipples this time. That is true. But I will allow it on the terms that I like Firewall because he's nice to me. Everyone and son, I'm always winning Geef Mr. L when you're here. Welcome to the stream. How you doing? But yeah, let me think. So yeah, Ace Attorney 4, 5, and 6. I have heard they're not as good as the original trilogy, but I am willing to overlook that for the fact that I enjoy Ace Attorney, and I'm gonna give them a shot anyway. I played a bit of them, some of them individually. Seeing the announcement with the next trilogy, it only took them 10 years. Yeah. That's... It's been a while. It has been a while. But I'm just happy that we get them. And you're cool beans. Thanks, Friendly Lee. You're pretty cool beans, too. Hey, Spamton Neo. Welcome to the stream. Okay. I just got here, so I have no idea what the heaven is going on here. Okay, so this is a Zatsudan, which again, not to be confused with Zandatsu, where you pull someone's spine out and use it for sustenance. A Zatsudan is apparently a thing where you just kind of talk and chat idly. And I'm not really sure how that differs from most of my streams, because that's kind of just what I do while playing games, but regardless, thought I'd give it a shot, see what happens. So, welcome to the Zatsudan, where I'm talking. Yeah. Man, you know, it's funny, though, seeing my model this close up and just realizing, like, all the different things that I made it do. And granted, it's all really simple stuff, like the just moving when I move my head, but, like, I don't know. I think it came out well. Probably should have moved the neck around a little bit more, because I feel like it's like I've got a pole up my back, and I can't move it beyond that, but, like, otherwise I can kind of bend a little more. It's kind of like, you know that thing from Pirates of the Caribbean 2, where Jack was, like, strapped to a giant bamboo pole, and they were like roasting him on fire, then he ran away, but he still had the pole attached to him. It's kind of like that. I Zatsu the Duns, exactly. I do Zatsu the Duns, yeah. Absolutely. Every Dan getting Zatsu'd. No matter what the name is. Daniel, Daniel, any other name that could be turned into Daniel or Dan, getting Zatsu'd. All of them. I will Zatsu them all. I don't know. Just wait till I find out that Zatsu means, like, massacre or something like that. And I'm like, no, I have to backpedal on that. I'm not... I feel like this apology video being all like, yeah, so I'm sorry to every Dan out there. I am not actually going to massacre you. That was a mistake. My apologies. The thing is, Shutakumi didn't write the latter half of Ace Attorney games because you already told the story he wanted to tell in the first 3 games. I have heard that, but Capcom demanded more games. Yeah, game companies tend to do that. Well, it's like, there's also Ghost Trick coming out, which I'm interested in, because, did Shu Takumi write that? Or was that somebody else? Ghost Trick. I know that's getting remastered soon. And I am looking forward to that, but, I don't know. I do understand kind of wanting the series to be done, because obviously the original trilogy is fantastic and everyone likes it. But on the other hand, from what I've played of 4, 5, and 6, okay, good, he did write Ghost Trick, yeah. From what I've seen of 4, 5, and 6, it really doesn't seem that bad. Like, I know people are, like, a little harsh in them. Sometimes I've seen, like, oh yeah, 4, 5, and 6, ah! But, like, overall, from what I've seen, they look pretty good. And obviously, you know, even the worst Ace Attorney game is still pretty good, but, you know, it kind of comes down to personal preference, I guess. I'm sure I'll determine how I feel about that once I play them later. Now, I will say I have played the part of 4 where it gets to the first case, which involves panty snatching. And I gotta say, well, what a way to start it off then. Yeah, that's fun. That's interesting. Oh boy. But yeah. It does also, I know the part of 5 that everyone likes with the what was it, like Turnabout Big Top, the thing with the whale? That's the culprit, like the orca? Yeah. It is a Japanese game after all. Yeah, it is. Trade offer. You receive one final moment with your old pal, Spampton. I received your soul. That's pretty funny. Just like the band SpongeBob episode. Yeah, that's the thing. I saw that one. I think back when it aired, and I had no idea that it was banned. So for a while, I was like, man, I could have sworn there was this one episode that like, where like Patrick and SpongeBob took Mr. Krabs on a raid to steal panties, and it turned out to be Mr. Krabs' mother's panties or something like that. And like some people thought I was crazy that I like as a madman dreamt that up, but no. As an android, I only dream of electric sheep. No, turns out it was real. And I was vindicated in a court of law. Luckily, I was able to secure my rights as a person who did not fabricate mentally a panty episode of SpongeBob. And I think that's pretty good. That's what we all want in the end. But it's also like, there have also been some other shows that I've seen like banned episodes of. Like, I'm pretty sure Always Sunny has more than a few. And if you guys know anything about Always Sunny in Philadelphia, really a lot of the episodes probably could be banned at some point or another. I think none of the Ace Attorney games are straight up bad. It's just the latter half of the series didn't exactly reach the heights of the original trilogy. No, I get that. Yeah. That happens kind of a lot. Like Halo, for instance, I feel like also had a bunch of really good games in the first half of it, and then I liked 4 well enough, 5 was okay, Infinite I liked the gameplay of, and then I just kind of forgot to keep playing it. And it's not that they were like terrible, it's more just, you know, I kind of didn't feel the same way. I guess it just didn't hit me as hard. The only bad thing about all episodes of a show, you have to either buy an overpriced CD or be a pirate. Yeah, but if that show is One Piece, then, you know, technically, that's what the show is telling you to do. Kind of. Oh yeah, emulate Nintendo, kid. Sun Tzu, probably. You know, I believe it was in The Art of War that Sun Tzu was like, use the Dolphin emulator if you don't want to play Wii games. Or play the Wii U version of Breath of the Wild on the emulator. Then you can get it at 60 FPS. Truly a winning strategy. Absolutely. Visionary. Ahead of his time. They were all like, what's the Switch? And then, like, what's the Wii U? And he was like, you will see eventually. And they did. They did see eventually. Granted, most of them were dead at the time, but a few of them, probably. Few of them who were like very young children at the time of Sun Tzu's inception. I mean, hell, I had lunch with Sun Tzu the other day. We're best friends. No, I think we'd get along perfectly. You know, I actually said that to a friend of mine. I said like the Sun Tzu joke, because I was like, oh yeah, I know exactly what Sun Tzu would talk about. Like, you know, I know the guy. And they told me specifically, Arrowhead, I think specifically he would not like you at all. And I've read enough of his works to understand that. I'm Ongo Gablogi. I'm Ongo Gablogian, the art collector. Charmed, I'm sure. Bullshit. Bullshit. Derivative. This I love. I absolutely love. That's an air conditioner. Aren't we all just doing it? Conditioning the air. I forgot the rest of that scene, but either way, that was pretty funny, yeah. I like Always Sunny. Always Sunny is a really funny show. They also really, really hit the hammer on the head. Wait. They hit the nail on the no. They hit the... Okay. There's a nail. They use a hammer to hit it in a way that is precise and accurate to the issue. There's that phrase. All right. And I really enjoy that for the simple fact that they cover issues from all sides, and they do it with, like, no prejudice at all. They just cover everything from every angle. Like, for instance, there was an episode where they found a bunch of girls getting really, really short hair. Actually, I shouldn't talk about that one. That was a metaphor for something completely different. Maybe I shouldn't bring up the show that constantly goes over political issues on a comedic stream, because that is absolutely sure to start some fights. Never mind. Always Sunny, funny show. Go watch it. But yeah, absolutely great stuff. Little did we know, The Art of War was actually about Nintendo copyright crime. Nintendo copyright claims. I would get that. Yeah, you know, it's all about knowing your enemy and knowing what music you can and can't use in a video. There you go. Yeah, it's really about, hold on. When Sun Tzu famously said, knowing is half the battle, G.I. Joe, what he was actually talking about was knowing the right way to download the Switch emulator and play Tears of the Kingdom. Let me look up some actual, like, quotes by the guy. Okay, can't load any because my internet is messing up, but that's not the point. But yeah, what I'm trying to say here is, oh wait, here we are. Even the finest sword plunged in the salt water will eventually rust. See, guys, what he's trying to say is that if you... Oh, I've seen G.I. Joe. Yeah, that was the thing back when I was a very... Actually, not like a show when I was like a child. It's more like it was like a comic book thing, I think. And then later they were like, G.I. Joe as a show or something. Yeah. Fun fact, the fans of Ace Attorney games, they have a phrase called the third act syndrome, where the third act is really bad, cough, 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 turnabout circuits, cough, cough. Well, can't completely argue there. Third one is always usually one of the weird ones, though, because, like, usually the first one is, like, the tutorial one, right? And the last one is, like, what really wraps up the story for the entire thing. The second one is usually where they either bring back Maya or they have some kind of something. Occasional later games generally, I think, had like relatively normal second trials. Third one is usually just kind of the odd man out. Like in the first game, honestly, for the fact that the third one, although I liked it, was not a tutorial, it was a little odd in terms of like placement, you know? But let's see, yeah, so like, G.I. Joe, that was some quality programming. Constantly trying to teach you life lessons about not downloading cars and being a computer. Third cases tend to be filler cases, and neither of them are downright bad. Yeah. It's like, I have trouble saying anything about them like that. Like, I don't think they're bad. Obviously, like, I don't think there are many Ace Attorney cases that are, like, bad. Yeah, Turnabout Big Top... Honestly, I don't even dislike Turnabout Big Top. I thought that one was okay. It's just that they're kind of like... They're the most okay cases. Especially with like let's say Ace Attorney 2. I liked the fourth case, and I also liked the second case. Turnabout Gun. Yeah, Turnabout Gun. I don't even know which one you're talking about, but I'm gonna act like I do. For the moment. It could be several, actually. But yeah... Turnabout, what was it, Samurai from the first one? That was okay. I had no issue with that. And then there was, honestly, Turnabout Big Top, I don't even dislike that one either. Granted, do I like that more than the fourth trial of the second one, or the second trial of the second one, or the... Maybe a little more than the first trial of the second one, but regardless, first trial is always going to be a little weak, honestly. Oh yeah, that's what the third level of the third game is called. Thank you for reminding me. Mo actually sings the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song in the circus case. That's funny. I need to actually go... Whenever I, like, find my way back to that, we're gonna need to listen to that. That's actually really funny. Let me think, though. It's like... I have played the first trial of the fourth case, or the fourth game. And man, that was actually a pretty good first trial. It was a tutorial. It was a tutorial, but it had a really nice, like, twist and way of setting stuff up in it. And even though, you know, like, the defendant probably isn't the killer, you know, as with most Ace Attorney cases, it's just kind of nice to, you know, it was just a cool trial. There's also the, what was I gonna say? It's just kind of funny with a lot of Ace Attorney cases where it's like, when you think about it, at least with Ace Attorney 1, Phoenix just gets dragged into shit because Maya really wants him to. I love how you actually just failed. The clown made a joke. I think I know what you're talking about, yeah. But I don't know. I gotta say, Ace Attorney in general, the writing is pretty solid. I like the characters. I love the music. Ace Attorney music is among the best. I don't think they get enough credit for that, too. It's like, obviously everyone likes, you know, Cornered and basically any Pursuit theme. Honestly, they're all great. Speaking of SpongeBob and deleted episodes, I'm sure you're familiar with Squidward's suicide, right? I did not actually notice that. I do need to look that up, though. That sounds interesting. The creators actually referenced it in one of the episodes, but had it removed because it's too scary for the kids. Suicide usually is, yeah. Granted, it's important to tackle that kind of topic to show why it's bad, but like, for instance, Cyberpunk, there's an ending where you can commit suicide, but you get no achievement, you get nothing good from it, and everyone is like sad and mad that you did it. So there's that. Von Karma. You see, I actually got shot and I kept it in me, Von Karma. No, that isn't even possible. You can keep a bullet in you. Actually, I think for what it's worth, most doctors do recommend not taking out the bullet, because generally it can be like holding together some stuff. It's kind of like taking out a knife when you've been stabbed. You don't want to take out the knife because then that'll make the bleeding worse. Until you get to an actual doctor, at which point they will take out the knife. But like, in general, if you get stabbed, pro tip, don't take out the knife if it is within your control to not take out the knife, because that will be a problem for you. I'm just saying, I realize humans gotta bleed, but ideally don't bleed when you don't have to. Such as when you're eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch and the sharp parts of the shards of the cereal stab you in the mouth. And then you're going to be bleeding. And obviously you kind of have to at that point. It's a labor of love. We all love Cinnamon Toast Crunch. But yeah. Remember Suicide is one of those classic copy pastas from back in the day. Creepypastas? Huh. I don't remember that one. I remember a lot of the ones about like Ben is dead from Majora's Mask and a few of the others where it was like, oh man, if you beat Zelda 27 times in a row, you get a gun. And everyone believed it, even though there was no possible evidence for any of those things. Then Von Karma lose because of a metal detector? Basically, yeah. But like, generally from what I've heard, you are supposed to keep the bullet in you when possible. Ideally, not always. There are cases, obviously, where you don't want that, but like, I've heard sometimes that if it's not in like a problematic area, they're probably not going to take it out of you. You're probably just going to keep it there. Oh, man. But yeah, I kind of miss the era of gaming where you could just say random bullshit rumors and people would believe you. Because, like, nowadays it's always like, oh, it's been data mined, or, oh, it's, of course it wouldn't do that. But back in the day, it was like, you know, dude, I heard there's a way to play as Bowser in Mario. You just have to beat the game, but let Bowser kill you 5 times in a row, and then you can play as Bowser. And that's a dumb one. That's not even a real thing, ideally. But the idea was you could just say anything. It was a lawless wasteland. Red Dead, did you want to, like, ride Godzilla in Red Dead? Well, with the power of imagination, you could. You just tell people that you could, and maybe they'll believe you. But that's why I kind of like games like Elden Ring and, you know, Tears of the Kingdom and all that. Because with as much stuff as there is in it, you can, for at least like a little bit of time, just a very small amount of time, tell people that same random bullshit, the stuff that's not true at all, and they might believe you. And that's what I like about it. It was in his shoulder. I'm pretty sure a sane person would move it. Well, yeah, part of the point with Von Karma was that he didn't want anyone to know. And that's why he took off like the 6 months after the whole incident happened. Because he didn't want anyone to find out that he got shot. Yeah, trying to remove the bullet can sometimes cause massive bleedings that can be lethal if you don't have the benefits of doctors. That's true. Exactly. That's my point. And then also he didn't want anyone to know about it, so obviously he would not have a doctor take it out. So there's that. If you beat Undertale 69,420 times, you will get a gun, and Sans Undertale will always die on genocide. But you can already get a gun on genocide, and also Sans will die. Because you beat him. Though I do wonder, if I do if I were to beat the game over like 69,000 times, how many times would I still die during it? I feel like at some points I would get careless. Just because I have a very bad habit of getting arrogant and being like, oh, I don't need to use this healing item. And then I do. I really, really need to use it. Thing is, back in the day, the internet was both very young and not that accessible to people. Exactly. You could say whatever you wanted and no one would be able to prove you wrong, because all the people who did know that you were wrong weren't using game facts and or game FAQs, however you pronounce that. Those forums. Or 4chan, which I've never been on, ideally. But actually, have I? I don't think I've ever been to 4chan. I also try to stay off most social media, honestly. Just in general to try and keep myself clean. Well, that's another thing, is that like a lot of voice actors and like DJs, really just like entertainers in general, a lot of people like that only get canceled when they start saying a bunch of really weird political stuff on whatever platform they're on, usually Twitter, but it can be elsewhere. And I'm just thinking like, okay, but counterpoint, does anyone care what I think? And why? Hey, if you beat Mario Bros. 64 for the Nintendo 69, you will unlock Luigi with a gun. I still remember trying to do anything I could to unlock Luigi in Super Mario 64, just because I prefer Luigi because he's, like, green. And don't get me wrong, Mario has roughly the same color scheme as I do, but Luigi is cool, and I like cool stuff. He has a mansion, you know, with ghosts in it. And he does tennis occasionally. And he has that really funny death stare in Mario Kart, where it's like, if you just if he drives past you and you've won, it'll just be like it'll be like that Zoolander meme, where Ben Stiller looks really happy until Owen Wilson walks in, and then they both kind of like glare at each other. And I love that meme. It's hilarious. But yeah, I like Luigi. I feel like this whole stream so far has just been a string of me going on various tangents and getting lost in whatever I could possibly talk about. But it's fun, you know? I like this sort of thing. Maybe I ought to do more Zatsudans. And Zandatsus, where I just rip out your spines and talk to them, possibly. But let's see. What else to discuss? Yeah, so like creepypastas. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. Like when Starfield comes out, that'll be a really fun one, because I'm sure there's gonna be some like random stuff that can happen by pure chance in the game, and yet, like, it's kind of like that thing with like Skyrim. There was a thing in Skyrim that I always go back to when I think about like really cool like random quests. I feel like some people again get after they gain some amount of notoriety, it gets to their head. Yeah, that's true. I mean, hey, look at a lot of celebrities. You know, some people who get like really big off doing stuff are like kind of crazy from it. Fun fact, did you know the best place to hide is insanity? Make sure to go up, down, up, down, up, down. There you go, up, down, up, down, up, down. Yeah, absolutely. Totally. Hard agree there, Mr. Spampton Neo. Cannot agree enough. Kanye, exactly. Case in point, Kanye. That guy is kind of crazy. At least from what I've seen. Granted, he's very funny. But, yeah. Another thing, and then there's other thing that the core audience will care about anything that isn't person's... yeah. That's the thing. I know you guys are here to see the funny android man be bad at video games, or possibly good at video games on the rare occasion that I am. So that's why I generally don't bring up, like, politics or religion, even though the one true god is the Mighty Zord, which is a combination of a bunch of smaller robots. Not to be confused with the Go Lion, which is our version of the devil. So there's that. But disregard that for the moment. Also, I guess in this sort of analogy, Ultraman would be like Jesus? I don't know. Or no, wait, would that be Evangelion? No, but the mechs in Evangelion... Huh. That's gonna take some more thinking on that. Regardless, Kanye's password for a while was 0000. Phone password, I might add. Really? That is interesting. Man, I love the part where Kanye said it's bad German time. Auntie, bad German all over the... Huh? Oh, wait, you're... Okay, I think I know what you're gonna say. Yeah. I gotcha. I gotcha. But, like, what else? And... Oh, Andy bad German all over the place. Okay, yeah. I gotcha. Man, it's like... There was a clip that was being passed around earlier today across the internet of the German dub of Final Fantasy 16, and honestly, actually pretty good. The guy that got to play Clive, pretty good job. Granted, I don't speak German, at least not much, but pretty good stuff. You know what's one language that I would like to learn though at some point? Gaelic. I think it's like ancient Irish, but like it just sounds like a cool thing to learn. Also Welsh. Welsh would be pretty cool to learn. Just because it's all like mystical and well, not mystical, but like ancient. I mean, it's got a lot of like history to it, you know? Right. So does the English language and most European languages. Hell, Chinese has a lot of history to it because it's one of the oldest civilizations known to man. But, you know, well, it's still around, I should say. But yeah, something like that. And only Kanye can answer the question, who was in Paris? Oh, man. You know, I didn't vote for Kanye when he was running for president. And I'm not going to say that I was tempted to because I wasn't. But I do think it would have been very funny if he won. Kind of like Joe Exotic. You guys remember who Joe Exotic is? The guy from Tiger King? Or Lion King? Or, wait, shit, what was it? Tiger King? Tiger King. Yeah, that's it. He was the Tiger King. Joe Exotic. Dude, have you ever seen the German voice of one of the commanders or whatever from that Star Wars Disney sequels where he just says a bunch of stuff to stormtroopers? I have not, but that does sound interesting. Wait, are you saying that because it was really good or because it was really, like, funny to hear? There's the question there. Just to, like, prepare for comedy or prepare for not comedy? That is the question. But yeah, that's like Spamton Neo for president in 1990. Spamton Neo for president in 1997 and 2024. Absolutely. You know, he was the best insurance salesman in 1997. He was the best one that entire year. It's still... That joke still makes me laugh a little bit. It sounded like the main bad German dude. Ah. Yeah, no, I see what you mean. I personally always felt that if you decide to commit learning the new language, which is not an easy task, you might as well learn a language you might actually use in life. You know, that's true. I realize some people learning languages is a lot easier. Like, there are some people out there, like, for instance, Kiara from Hololive knows, like, 9 languages. And I think that's a really interesting thing, you know? Learning languages is very difficult. At least for me, so, you know, it's interesting. Granted, it might be easier if I try to learn more things with like a Roman alphabet or like closer to like a Romance language, because those I kind of understand a little bit. But overall, you know, here and there. Regardless, yeah, I do think it's important to learn alive languages before, not necessarily dead languages, but I'm thinking stuff like Latin. Like, sure, Latin has a lot of roots and stuff, and it is a cool language, but if we're being completely honest, how often are any of us going to use Latin? Like, I feel like it's kind of weird that that's still, like, a main course in, like, plenty of high schools and colleges. Because a friend of mine told me about that. It wasn't at my high school, it was at theirs. But they were all like, oh man, Latin was a thing we had to take. And I'm just like, really? Like, I realize there's a lot of Latin roots in words that are in English. That's like, you know, there's the A prefix, which means like without. So it's like A. I can't think of a single word at the moment. That's weird. Regardless, it took me 8 years for my English to reach this level, and it's already got noticed that it's still not the great. I think it's fine, yeah. I mean, you're writing at least like a person who speaks fluent English. Hell, have you seen some of the ways that I write? I don't think you have, because, man, it takes some retyping to get to a way that it actually sounds legible. Though maybe that's just me phrasing stuff, so who knows. Learning new languages is useless. What do you think I'm going to do? Just go to Spain or Japan? I mean, I'm the best salesman in 1997. And also, if I go to a different place, I will physically turn into spam email. Latin is actually quite a useful language to know if you want to pursue science, specifically biology. You know what? That's fair. Because then you know, like, the roots of the names, and you can pronounce them easily, and taxonomy makes a little more sense, I suppose. But, yeah, that's fair. Speaking of taxonomy, I still think one of the coolest things a series can do to show off its, like, creatures is show, like, a taxonomical chart of where they all split off and whatnot. Like, Monster Hunter does that sometimes, where they have, like, a taxonomy tree of all the monsters in Monster Hunter, and man, is it good. It just looks so cool. Just trying to, like, see all the stuff. But yeah, I think it's interesting. Also, that confirmed that Gormagal is an Elder Dragon. So there's that. But yeah, I like that sort of stuff. Bye, Geef Mr. L. Fun having you here. But let's see. Oh yeah, have a good day. Let's see. I don't know. I do think, as far as languages go, other cool languages to learn would be like, I don't know, German, I could learn more of. I know a little bit now. Maybe French. Chinese is probably fairly useful. So yeah, I can see that being class. Spanish, yeah. All those. And I do find those to be pretty useful languages to learn. But it all comes down to mostly just what you think you're going to use the most. And, yeah. James Cameron's Avatar also did that. Yeah, exactly. That's a really cool thing to do. Right? Because you can also, like... It just gives, like, a sense of grounding to the world, you know? You can see where they all split off. You can see, like, the sort of, like, similarities between them. I think that's a very cool thing. Hopefully games like Starfield, which have, like, a very wide variety of, like, monsters in space, like, creatures and all that. Hopefully they do stuff like that, too, because it's also, like, a really cool idea that, like, I could just be a space biologist. I just go around all the planets and catalog all the animals. I think that could be pretty cool. That could be a fun way to play the game. Same thing with, like, having a cargo hold filled with sandwiches. Like that person in the thing had. I just ended a person's free trial with scissors that have 10 plus poison damage. Good on you, man. Try not to keep doing that, but good that you're happy about it. I think the greatest compliment I've ever got about my English was when I unironically asked by some strangers if I'm from the UK. That is a pretty good compliment. Unless they were Irish or Scottish or German or French, at which point that might have been an insult. Or Australian. The UK has made many enemies. I'm kidding, but yeah, it's I do think that's a compliment. I do think legitimately is a good thing. Yeah. I mean, hey, you write really well. I've never heard you speak, but you do write very fluently, I think. I think you do a good job. I mean, hey, if you hadn't told me you were, like, Romanian, I would never have known. Oh, hey, Incompetent Engineering, welcome. I just got back from watching the Transformers movie, and man, it's definitely close to the Age of Extinction than this The Dark of the Moon or the original movie in quality. Ah. It's kind of worried about that, to be honest. Like, I've seen the original 3 Transformers movies. I hadn't really seen anything after that because I heard a lot of it was kind of, let's say, hit or miss. I don't know. They were from the USA. Oh, okay. That helps, I think. Unicron's voice actor was terrible. Really? Huh. That would be, I don't know. I do think it's kind of interesting to look at examples of bad acting, because when you get down to it, bad acting is like, it's a good example of what not to do. And it's like, it's just kind of fun to like look at stuff and think like, why doesn't this work when other stuff works? Like, why am I more sold on this guy than the other guy? Now, sometimes it's down to like, oh, well, the voice they're doing isn't right, or like, their intonation is wrong for the scene. And then you have to worry about all these other factors. Like, I'm going to binge a bunch of anime on Netflix. What should I watch first? Good question, actually. That's a really good question. Obviously, there's, you know, One Piece, Hunter x Hunter, Attack on Titan. Actually, Attack on Titan, I think on Netflix only has, like... Do they still only have the first season? That's crazy if they do. Only the first one. Oh, yes, when Scourge speaks to Unicron, it's not like he's speaking to a god. It's like he's speaking to an asshole-less shift manager. Oh, man, that's fucking funny. Oh, that's amazing. I actually kind of want to see that now. I wasn't going to watch the movie, but now I feel like I should. That sounds interesting in its own right. Like, oh, do I really have to work Fridays? Yes, you do. And stuff like that. Cyberpunk Edge Runners, absolutely. Cyberpunk Edge Runners, absolutely worth a watch. That got me to play the game, and honestly, I think it was great. Edge Runners, I'm not going to say anything else about it, but that is really cool. Oh, wait, what's that about dinosaurs? Hold on. They actually named the dinosaur Sauroniops, meaning Eye of Sauron. If there was a single reason to pursue paleontology, the same extinct life forms cool shit. Exactly. Fantastic point. When I was a lot younger, I did really want to... Yep, that's it. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, I do want to see that now. You've sold me on the movie. Perfect advertising. That's the Unicron voice. Oh, okay, that's... You know what, I have never done one of those watch-along things where it's like, oh, yeah, you watch a movie and talk about it during it. I might do that for that. That sounds very funny. And I just, like, mimic the characters while doing the entire thing. That could be pretty... I don't know. That sounds fun. I might do that at some point. Unicorn Luna says, "The weight is killing me." Oh. Oh, okay. That's great. That's fantastic. Yeah, hard recommend for Edge Runners. Great show, great animation. I would put a slight warning for don't watch it, some of it in front of other people, because, you know... How do I put this without spoiling stuff? So there's a little bit of nudity, a little bit of, like, very hard violence. I will say that first, but I do think it's an amazing show, and it is worth a shot. Honestly, I had zero hopes for the Rise of the Beast from all the delays from the weird cast choices. Yeah. Anyone just want to watch Attack on Titan? Titans just do normal human stuff? I kind of do. That sounds funny. Yeah. Optimus Primal is top tier, as is Optimus Prime and RC. Everyone else is just... yeah. It is kind of funny to me how the Transformers movies went from, like... You know how Bumblebee could talk at the end of the first movie? Like, they fixed his circuits or whatever, then he could, like... Oh, we can actually talk normally, and then he still did the radio thing? I kind of like that concept for the radio bit because, you know, when you think about it, like, that's just kind of a fun gimmick for the character, I think. Everyone else, yeah, I need to... Well, now that you've said that, I kind of want to watch it. Knowing that it's supposed to be, like, pretty bad, that's worth something. Like, good shows, good TV? Nah, man, nah. Horrible bullshit? Absolutely. Yeah. That could be a very interesting stream. Just see how much I mauled over it. Why watch Attack on Titan when you can read The Watchmen? I don't expect anyone to get that joke. I kind of do, but I also kind of don't. Thank you for the warning. I'm gonna bring bleach and holy water when I watch the show. iRazor is the most screaming time among the Maximals, but Michelle Yeoh's performance makes you wonder how she even won an Oscar. Well, it's like, that's the thing. Some actors are really good at, like, being a normal human, but just don't... Like, acting and voice acting are two kind of separate things. Like, when you're voice acting, you really gotta use your voice. And I say this as someone who's technically not even a professional voice actor. But from what I've learned, it's less like when you're acting normally physically, you're using your body, you're, you know, emoting in the scene. In voice acting, you kind of have to match what you're being shown. It's kind of like you're lip syncing your own performance, you know? Or rather, you're dubbing your own performance. You have to put the voice in a way that makes sense for the character. And sometimes you'll have actual actors, or not actual actors, physical actors, that just are really good physically and can talk and they can do all that stuff on stage, and that's fine. But once they get in the booth, they're not as, you know, excellent. Then you have people that are really good at both. And those people scare me because they are coming for my job. And I almost want to give it to them. But yeah, Transformers Rise of the Beast is supposed to be not great, and now I definitely want to see it. Especially if I just try to stay positive the entire time, where I'm just like, okay, well, I liked that line, or I like that thing. Some Attack on Titan's characters were based on characters from The Watchmen, and Levi was based on Rorschach. Okay, that makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense. Even though this original origin story in Erwin was based on Ozymandias. Honestly, I can kind of see that. I can kind of see that, actually. If that's true, that does make sense based on Erwin's character. I could see that. I could see that being the truth. Is it the truth? I do not know. But it could be, and that's what's important. But seriously though, when you hear Unicron speak, you're not going to be able to unhear it. It's like hearing a middle-aged lesbian trying to deepen her voice while she scolds a late barista. Grimlock, you are 2 hours late to your shift this morning. What happened? And then Grimlock just makes dinosaur noises because dinosaurs are cool, but like... Man, I'm just... I'm glad that I'm not like a really, really big Transformers fan to the point where I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe they completely ruined the Unicron storyline. Like, I know who these characters are and I have seen them a lot. You know, I like Transformers a bit, but I wouldn't say that I'm like an ultra Transformers fan. And then in this case, that's kind of a good thing because I feel like I would absolutely hate everything of what Michael Bay has done. Unicron, Unicron. Tell me when I hit it. It's like the first one, like Unicron, Unicron, Unicron. Ah, ha, 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 ha. I enjoy Starbucks, or something. Would have been a massive coincidence if it wasn't intentional. I can kind of see that though. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like Erwin definitely has the whole grand plan kind of vibe to him. Like, I've seen the entire show at this point, so there's that. But I can see the comparison, especially with how cynical Levi is and how the way he kind of talks about stuff. I can see that working. Hear me out. What if we get a show where it's from Pokemon POV and not the trainer? I could see that working. Yeah, but like, have it be like, especially from the Pokemon's perspective, they can understand every other Pokemon, but humans sound like the adults from Charlie Brown, where it's like muffled. Where the humans here are like Pikachu and Squirtle, Charizard, and stuff like that. But in Pokemon terms, it's like, so I was in this battle today, and my god, I cannot believe they kept using Thunderbolt on me. I'm an electric type. And all the humans sound like... The Bayverse was and is still hated to this day. I don't blame you. Yeah. It's like... It's kind of like the Paul W.S. Anderson Resident Evil movies and the Paul W.S. Anderson Monster Hunter movie. For those franchises, and as a fan of both of those things, that's the closest comparison I can draw. Or the Halo TV show, where it just... I don't want to talk about it. You know what? Never mind. This is going down a dark path. I'm going to wind up bitching all over the place if we start talking about that. It is... I think we can all agree, though. It is ridiculous how you can have such strong source material from stuff like that and then mess all of it up. Like, I'm serious. It is difficult to take something as well beloved as... I don't know. Like, here's the thing. A lot of directors, I feel like, try to take something from a franchise and put a new spin on it. They should not do that. There's a reason people like The Thing. Oh, Mario movie, for instance. But because of the magic that is nostalgia glass, a lot of people don't see the flaws anymore. Or maybe the flaws were blown out of proportion back in the day. You know, it's just one to get knight armor and speaking yield English. Sometimes, but like... No, but like, I do get the thing about nostalgia. Nostalgia, rose-tinted glasses are very effective. But I will say, I feel like there's a legitimate problem with a lot of directors grabbing a franchise being all... I want to put a new spin on this franchise no one's ever seen before. And for Spider-Man, of which there have been a lot of movies at this point, that's okay. Hell, all of Spider-Verse is kind of about the in-joke that there have been a lot of Spider-Man movies. And I think that's amazing. But, what was I going to say? I just think that too many things try to change stuff up when you haven't even done the original thing you were supposed to be doing. You know? Like, they haven't even bothered adapting the original thing straight. There's no... Like, when people say they want a Halo TV show, they want a Halo TV show. They don't want something that's not read the games, someone that's not played the games. They don't want someone who hasn't done that. They want the games, but as a show. As does any video game adaptation fan. I don't even particularly care about Halo as series, but what gets me is the concept. The concept of taking something that was genuinely good and twisting something that isn't. Exactly. Now, to be fair towards the writers and creators of Halo, it is entirely possible that they wanted to make their own original sci-fi show that had nothing to do with Halo, and the studio execs forced them to make a Halo show. That is possible. I'm not saying it's not. Because, you know, at the end of the day, there are a lot of higher-up decisions that are not the result of the creative part of the team that wind up ruining stuff. I think we can all agree on that. Just things that have no place being the way they are, but they are. You know? But then you have stuff like Paul W.S. Anderson. I really have trouble believing that he did not himself want to do the movies that way. Now, I will say Resident Evil does have a relatively hammy storyline at some points, because when you get down to it, there's like, especially in the earlier entries, there was quite a bit of overacting. There was a lot of like, oh, well, there are zombies here. We just got to go somewhere else. We got to solve these puzzles. But that's not an excuse to do that to it, you know? The creators of the Halo show didn't even look at the games. They were making the show. They loosely based on the books. Which, again, not great. Look, I'm going to say this. The Mario movie is a step in the right direction. I have not seen it. All I know is people were like, oh, if you like the games enough, you like the movie. I have heard rumors of a Legend of Zelda movie in development. You know what I want the Legend of Zelda movie to do? Make a Legend of Zelda movie. We do not need anything else. We don't need for it to be like, oh, Link actually is in love with Ganondorf. Just make Legend of Zelda. Now, granted, Legend of Zelda isn't really known for having a very, very strong story. Its stories are always pretty simple. They're always about just killing some kind of evil thing that is doing a thing you don't want it to do. But disregard that for now. Red vs. Blue is better than the Halo show, and I haven't even watched the Halo show. I feel like I should watch more of the Halo show. I feel like I haven't given it enough room to breathe. Because on one hand, like, I do want to make fun of it, but on the other hand, I would kind of feel bad if I made a show and people kept trashing it without watching it. So there's that. Truth be told, video game adaptations aren't exactly the easiest to make. It's not like taking a manga or comic book into a show where you get a copy of every panel but animated. That's true. That is fair. But I do think there's something to be said about having some pretty strong story-based games and not adapting those well. I think that's kind of a problem, you know? And there was also something to be said about the fact that the only games that seem to be getting adaptations are ones that don't really have much of a story. Like, you could argue that Arcane obviously did. And Arcane was great. I'm not saying it wasn't great. Arcane was fantastic. What I am saying, though, is that I feel like the average League of Legends player isn't going to know about a lot of that. I mean, hell, I didn't. But either way, I do want more stuff like Arcane, like stuff that can take the source material and just really bring it out into the forefront, really go nuts with it and be great. That was fantastic. That's what I like. You just have to find the way to put the main part of what people like into the movie. And I realize it's easier said than done and by a lot. Every single theory be like, see which character was actually in a coma, because if they see very carefully, you will see what the character's mouth is not moving. I kind of know what you're saying there, yeah. Castlevania is a good example. Yeah, exactly. They took what made Castlevania fun, and they also added some other stuff. It's a great example. Castlevania was fantastic. Can't recommend it enough. It is very good. And it's like, also the voice acting in that was really good. The characters were really fun to watch. The story was interesting, and it's also interesting in the games. What I'm saying here, as far as adaptations go, find what people like about the thing, and then do whatever you can to bring that in the movie form. For instance, Monster Hunter. People like the fights, they like the world, they like the fun characters. And the tone, I guess. The tone is very lighthearted despite all the death. Stuff like that. That's pretty good. So, what would I say for a Monster Hunter movie? How would I do a Monster Hunter movie? I would have it be closer to, like, Legends of the Guild, which I didn't love, but I still think was definitely better than the Paul W.S. Anderson one, right? Because that was actually about Monster Hunter and not just, you know, Mila Jovovich killing stuff again. And I do get wanting to cast your wife and things. Oh yeah, and Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Didn't they make a Monster Hunter movie? People didn't like it. That's what I'm saying, though. They did. They also made an animated one that was closer to, like, the actual source material, closer to the games, had characters from the games in it. And even though it wasn't amazing, it was definitely better. Elden Ring movie would be really cool. But I want it to just be an hour and a half of the guy saying, let me solo her, and then killing Melania. That's what I want. I think that would be some quality cinema, in my opinion. That's what I'm saying there. Isn't there a One Piece movie on Netflix? There's gonna be a live-action One Piece show, which I gotta be honest, not at all the anime I would have thought would work there. But then again, I also thought the Cowboy Bebop show would work, and I assume that most of us have seen that. So, yeah. But hey, you know, also Cyberpunk Edge Runners. That is about the games. Granted, it wasn't literally directly from the games. It, in fact, covered some, like, characters who you will never see in the game. But, counterpoint there is that it covered the world as it was. Cyberpunk Edge Runners did a very good job of getting people into the world, getting people hooked on the story. Hell, I played the game because I liked the anime. That is a great video game show that did not just do the game. Good example. Case in point. I don't know. A lot of interesting stuff talked about today. Regardless, I do think that's something worth mentioning. Alright, well, that might be a good place to wrap this up. Just have this be a little experimental episode of like, oh hey, welcome to the Arrowhead Podcast, where I just tangent for hours on end. Regardless, I have been Arrowhead, your favorite VTuber android. I will get back to Tears of the Kingdom tomorrow. Probably won't finish it, but I'll get back to it, which is better almost, because more content. And I'll see you all next time. Have a lovely morning, day, or evening. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed. And goodbye for now.